So, what if I told you that being an introvert might not be a personality trait at all? Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating idea, the introversion myth and what it could mean for how you see, well, yourself.
I want you to really think about it. You know that feeling we call introversion? That pull towards being alone, that little jolt of dread when the phone rings, that deep, deep dislike of small talk. What if that isn't who you are? What if it's actually a defense mechanism, something your brain built to help you survive?
And this might hit close to home. You finally escape to be alone, telling yourself, I just need to recharge. But once you get there, the energy doesn't really come flooding back, does it? There's just stillness. A quiet pause maybe, but not a real reset.
And that brings us to the core of this whole thing. For a lot of us, what we're experiencing isn't actually introversion. It's a state of deep, chronic mental exhaustion. Your mind has just run out of gas, and it's forcing a shutdown.
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to look at the world we're all living in. We're in what you could call an age of overload, and it's actually causing our brains to actively choose to retreat.
I mean, just look at this contrast. A few decades ago, life had all this built-in downtime, these moments of unsupervised freedom, with almost no constant input. Now, flash forward to today. Our brains are running at full speed from the second we wake up, just absorbing a constant fire hose of information.
You know, psychology has a name for this. It's called cognitive load. Basically, it's the total amount of stuff your brain is juggling at any given moment. And when that load gets too heavy, your brain's survival instinct just kicks right in. It defaults to the easiest possible option to save energy. And you know what that often is? Total withdrawal.
But here's the thing. This exhaustion, it doesn't look the same for everybody. So we're going to explore 3 really distinct ways it can show up. And as we go through them, I want you to ask yourself, which one of these feels a little too familiar?
So we've got the overstimulated survivor, the decision-fatigued anchor, and the choice overload observer. 3 completely different paths that all end up in the same place, this state of being that looks and feels an awful lot like introversion.
Okay, first up, the overstimulated survivor. For this type, the problem isn't actually people, it's the noise. Your cognitive load is maxed out by the constant buzzing stimulus of modern life. Every single notification is like a little withdrawal from your mental bank account. Home becomes the only place where you can finally hit the pause button. And the key thing here? You're not antisocial, you're just anti-overload.
All right, next is the decision-fatigued anchor. This is often the person who had to grow up way too fast, who spent years managing everyone else's emotions. For you, the cognitive load is all about emotional labor. Social events feel like work because your entire life you've been reading the room. Your brain has been fighting emotional fires for so long it just has zero capacity left for small talk. So you're not withdrawn, you're just exhausted from being the responsible one. And finally, we have the choice overload observer. You live almost entirely inside your own head. And your cognitive load? It's totally self-inflicted. You burn through mental energy replaying conversations from yesterday and building backup plans for your backup plans. Socializing is exhausting because your brain is running this constant marathon of what-ifs. Choosing nothing feels so much safer than choosing wrong. The truth is, you're not indecisive, you're just paralyzed by all the possibilities.
So whether you see yourself as a survivor, an anchor, or an observer, it all boils down to one really critical question. Is this a core part of your identity, or is it just a survival strategy? And this right here, this is the crucial distinction we have to make. Just because you figured out a way to cope with the overload, a way to get by, doesn't mean you're thriving. Survival is not the same thing as being whole. This is exactly why that distinction is so critical. The second you label this feeling introversion, you accept it as a fixed identity. Your brain kind of goes, oh, okay, I guess this is just me now, and it stops looking for a solution to the exhaustion. Why would it? You've just told it that the exhaustion is who you are. You stop trying to heal.
Which brings us to this really powerful question you have to ask yourself about your own silence. Is it a source of power, a conscious choice you're making to find peace? Or is it paralysis, something born from the fear of burning out completely?
So, if any of this is resonating with you, what's the path forward? Well, it's not about trying to flip a switch and become an extrovert. It's about something much more compassionate. It's about giving yourself permission to heal the burnout and just start again. See, the goal isn't to fix a personality you think is broken. The goal is to tackle the exhaustion underneath it all. And that means actively lowering the cost of starting to re-engage with your life. What's that look like? Well, maybe it's choosing a quiet coffee with one friend instead of a huge, loud party. Maybe it's just turning off your notifications for 2 hours every day. It's about small, intentional acts that reduce your cognitive load and make connection feel possible again, not like a punishment.
And really, the most fundamental first step is just this: permission. Give yourself permission to be imperfect, permission to not have everything figured out, and maybe most importantly, permission to truly rest, to find that deep, restorative quiet, not just the stillness of being exhausted, to rest without that nagging guilt that you should be doing more.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Looking back at the survivor, the anchor, and the observer, did any of them feel like you were looking in a mirror? Because answering that, really honestly, might just be the first step toward feeling truly recharged and not just still.